Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that He appeared among us in the personage of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi. I further bear witness that He came and raised His messenger Messiah and the hard-working and the eternal leader of the Nation of Islam and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the two of them left a divine reminder in our midst, the hard-working Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'd like to greet you in the greeting words of peace and paradise. We say it in our original language of Assalamu alaikum. How y'all feeling today? It's not as cold as it's gonna get though, right? But it's getting there. It's good to see my brothers who I hadn't seen in a while. Good to see my sister who I hadn't seen in a while. All praise is due to Allah. Good to see the visitors and guests. Pray that we have something beneficial for you today, because we're gonna talk about this holiday that we call Christmas, right? See, our teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, has taught us that Christmas can be broken down into two words, Christ and Mass. A Mass, a group of people worshiping the Christ, right? The one who comes to crush the wicked. Is that right? We can't deny that we live in a world that is opposite of what we read about in the scriptures, right? When the apostles come, when the messengers of Allah come, when the messengers of God come, they teach of a world of paradise, of righteous behavior and conduct. Is that right? The true meaning of Christmas, a mass of people gathered together to worship the Christ who came to crush the wicked. If you give Brother Tony, Sister Aaliyah, Brother Rashad a round of applause for the tremendous work that we are attempting to do. And in that work, it is to resurrect the black man and woman in the Western Hemisphere. We are living in the time of the judgment of Allah, or the judgment of God. How many of you believe that? Let me see your hand. Let me see that you believe that we live in the judgment. How do we know we living in the judgment? What's going on in our own lives? The Nation of Islam is raised up to warn our people, to guide our people, and to inform our people on what time it is, what the time and what must be done, right? So every week, you see this paper, as our brother would say, the resurrection on wood. If you hadn't had a chance to read this paper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says in the main lecture of the paper, The Lie of December 25th. And we're gonna get into that today. But you see on the cover page, you see Middle East war widening, America's errant foreign policy. Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us that what we see overseas will one day be in our neighborhoods. Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
So we got to be preparing ourselves mentally to see this, what our people are seeing in the East. I just want you to just think about that, because we are living in the judgment of Allah. When the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was the first resurrected of the dead, was starting to get taught by Master Farad Muhammad, all of his teachings can be placed in this one book right here, Message to the Black Man in America. Everything that we need to know, everything about the nation, everything about the judgment, everything about the coming of God, everything about the devil, everything about God's weapon that he's going to use to destroy the wicked, can all be found in this book, Message to the Black Man, right? Now, when we say Message to the Black Man, I don't want you to get in your head that it's just some dark-skinned brother with wide nose, bald head. We are a multicultural people. We don't have one distinct feature. Y'all hear me? All right? So we can look multiple ways, but we are the aboriginal people of the planet. All right? So you say that God is coming, right? No, God didn't came. And that's what we want to bear witness to today. So in Genesis 15:13-15, it reads, And he said unto Abram, Nor of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterwards shall they come out with great substance, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. So God's coming represents the beginning of what? The judgment, which we are now living in. Y'all following me? You may say, well, when did he come? Who is these people that he supposedly are going to be strangers in a land that is not theirs? And they shall be afflicted by this other group of people for 400 years. What has history taught us? How long have we been in the West? Where did we come from? This is a question. Where did we come from? The East, right? They came and got us from the East and brought us to the West. To do what? Say that again. To serve them, right? Under servitude, slavery. And so how long have we been over here? 464 years, right? I think last week we put on the slide how it's all started, a few weeks ago. Put on the slide how it all started in 1555 as teaches the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? And then we backed it up with the documentation a few weeks ago, right? Right. So we've been over here since 1555 to build a world for another group of people, right? And so our time serving under this group of people, we have adopted their ways and customs and even their names. That's why we have their names. We're the only black people on the planet, the only Aboriginal people on the planet with European names. And proud of it, as the sisters say. Is that right? Is that a lie? Is that a lie? Unless you came straight from Africa and you still got your name, or you came straight from Indonesia and you still got your name, or you came straight from Asia and you still got your name that's connecting you to your people, then you don't fall in that category. But us, who have Jackson, Jones, Smith, Washington, all of these are slave masters' names, right? Right. So that means that we are their property still, bonded in the state. Is that right? So you have a birth certificate proving it, that you still their property, right? That's your certificate, that's your sale, your bill of sale, showing who you belong to, right? It's just something to think about. This isn't a teaching that wants to make you mad or incite you. This is a teaching that wants to get you to thinking so we can change our environment, change the way we do things, right? Because no one is going to save us but us. All we need is the knowledge. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good to see you, Brother Alfred. Yes, sir. All praises be to Allah. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, and our Savior has arrived in chapter 33. He says, on the 25th day of December comes another Christian holiday that they say is observed in the remembrance of Jesus. Some say it is to keep in remembrance of his birthday. Late writers on the word Christmas seem to be ashamed to go along with the old writers that the 25th day of December was the birthday of Jesus, because there has been so much research on whether or not Jesus was even born in December. But since it is a Christian holiday, they are not particular whether or not Jesus or the Roman Caesar was born on that day. For the real good of holidays for the Christians is to commercialize on the public. So during this time is when profits double. During this time is when losses are made up, right? Because everybody's in the spirit to go spend, especially us, because we are a consumer nation. We get our money and it go right back to the store. It go right back here, go right back there, right? And then we sit around and then we complain why we can't do what the Hispanics are doing, or why we can't do what the Asians are doing. We can do it. We just got to get back into our right mind. It's not that we can't do it. We have the resources, we just don't have the mental and the will to do it, right? So we got to gain that knowledge. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is pointing out, is Jesus even born on December 25th? Well, on December 25th, what does it look like in Palestine? Huh? Have y'all ever just Googled it? And just see what the weather was like 2,000 years ago? You can do that, right? They can track the weather. You can do that on Google Earth. And see what was the temperature like on December 25th in Palestine. And see what you get. Was it snowy? Why come it wasn't? Because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that, Nasrallah taught him that that Jesus was born in what? The first or second week in September, right? We're talking about a fall season, right? December is a cold month, right? So how is a baby born in a manger and not freezing? The pictures that they show us, no one is really covered up as if it's cold. How they riding on the camels, on the horses, or whatever they riding on, the three wise men that are coming to see this man, child that is supposed to deliver them from their sins. Is that right? How did they come up with December 25th if Herod was trying to kill all the babies? How do you even know when he was born? It's just something to think about. How do you know? You don't know. You don't know. Just tell the truth. We don't know. We just been going along to get along and repeating what was told to us. We've never really done any real research, but we're going to make you think today. Is that all right? Is it all right to think? All right. It's all right to think. That's what I heard. They say black men don't know how to think sometimes. That's what they tell us, right? You hide things in books. If you want to hide something from us, you hide it in a book, right? Well, let's look at this from the Washington Post. Washington Post said, in ancient civilizations, the winter solstice was traditionally a time of celebration. The what solstice? The winter solstice, right? Because we're talking about the dying of the what? Sun. The dying of the sun. So on December 25th, you're going to have nighttime is going to be longer than daytime. All right, just to put it in a simple language, right? So he says, in early Roman times, solstice celebrations honored pagan good gods, Saturnians, and Maharians, the light, or the harvest of the light, a form of sun worship that had come to Rome from Syria with the cult of Sol Invictus, right? The winter solstice of 274 AD fell on December 25th. The Roman emperor, Aurelian, since known as the father of what? Christmas, proclaimed a new holiday, Dies Natalis Solis Invicti. After a series of military victories restoring the Roman Empire, at the time, it was dangerous to be a Christian in the Roman Empire. Worshiping Jesus and celebrating his birth were discouraged. To avoid detection, early Christians celebrated his birth on December 25th, coinciding with the pagan festivals. The celebration of the rebirth of the sun became the celebration of the birth of the sun. S-O-N. It was not until 325 AD that the Christian emperor Constantine I officially approved the holiday of Christmas, celebrated openly on December 25th of each year. So why do we celebrate Jesus on December 25th? Makes you think, right? So indirectly, they got us doing this winter solstice celebration by putting Jesus' face and name on it, right? In this book, The Origin of Christmas by Joseph Kelly. Again, we're going to use these books to back up our teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? So you just can't say that they just pulled this out of thin air. When Constantine became emperor of Rome, he nominally at least became a Christian because he was a pagan at first, right? And then you got to go back and be like, what does it mean to be Christian back then? Because the word Christian ain't even in the book. That's a whole nother subject. But today we just want to get you to thinking so you can do your own research. You don't need a big library. You just need to take out that phone. But being the head of a political empire, he was concerned about the unity and coherence and stability of his empire. As a sagacious politician, he sought to reconcile and blend and mesh pagan practices with Christian beliefs to merge paganism with the Roman church. From that time, the church became totally subservient. I mean, I'm off today, sisters. By politics and self-seeking opportunists, right? The church moved to incorporate the birthday of the sun god into the so-called Christian calendar and converted his birthday into the birthday of the Messiah. It was now called Christian, but in truth, it still had a pagan heart and core. Now, this is from The Origins of Christmas by Joseph Kelly, page 6. Something to think about, right? This is the beginning of it all, because in 325 AD, at the Council of Nicaea is when they started putting this religion together. That's called Christianity, right? So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad would teach us that Christianity is a white man's organized religion that we have adopted due to slavery. You didn't have a choice to become a Christian if you wanted to live, right? So these customs and ways have just been passed down through our lineage, where today we will defend the Europeans' religion without knowledge. You understand? So when my brothers say that we've been made ignorant, that's what he's talking about. All right? They don't mean we dumb or stupid. That's two different names, right? Ignorant means you just operating because you don't have the knowledge to make the correct decision. Right? So you can be used as a tool and a slave to the person who has the knowledge. Make sense? Okay. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, he says, what a world of Christianity. Now comes the date and birth of Jesus, which no one knows. Allah in the person of Master Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever, taught me that since Jesus' birth was expected by his enemies, the date and place, especially the date, was kept as a secret between Mary and Joseph, the father and mother of Jesus, to keep the authorities from killing him. Is that the story? Y'all know the story, right? Okay. For the Jews had learned from their scriptures that he was their last prophet and that he would curse them because of their unbelief and destroy their independence among their brethren. God said to me that the Jesus, who is so much talked about in the Christian circles, was born in the first or second week of September, not on the 25th of December. The famous Nimrod, who broke Moses' civilization by 300 years, was born on the 25th day of December. How many of you know about Nimrod? Let me see your hand. Old Nimrod, right? Old Nimrod. Nimrod, as you can see in the pictures, in ancient Nineveh artifacts, you can see how he's kind of similar to old Saint Nick. You can see he has a long beard, holds a reindeer, and he has a Christmas tree. Kind of similar, right? Right. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 11 and 12 says they believe Allah and now had pleasure in unrighteousness. So this had been presented to us, played out over years, to now it's in our family, in our tradition, because they built new habits for us. That makes sense. So on December 25th in slavery, it was a day off, so everybody would celebrate. Just like it's a day off today. In this day and time, what I mean when I say today. But you can see the similarities, right? Well, in the Jewish Encyclopedia, what do they have to say about old Nimrod? They say Nimrod, the son of Cush and grandson of Ham. His name has become proverbial as that of a mighty hunter. His kingdom comprised Babel, Urich, Akkad, and Calneh. I say those right? In the land of Shinar, otherwise known as the land of what? Nimrod. So you can find this in Genesis 10, verses 8 through 10, 1 Chronicles 1, 10, and in Micah 5, verse 5, right? In rabbinical literature, Nimrod is the prototype of a rebellious people. His name being interpreted as he who made all the people rebellious against who? God. Allah. That's right. He is identified with Cush and with Amraphel. The name of the latter being interpreted as he whose words are dark. Nimrod is generally considered to have been the one who suggested building the Tower of Babel and who directed its construction. God said, I made Nimrod great, but he built a tower in order that he might rebel against me. The tower is called by the rabbis the house of Nimrod and is considered as a house of idolatry, which the owners abandoned in the time of peace, right? Now, so Nimrod came after Moses, but before Jesus. So he broke the law that Moses gave the Europeans in Europe, bringing them out of the caves. Y'all with me? All right. Now y'all know Moses went up to the north and civilized the caveman, right? Now we're not going to talk about what the Bible says because that's prophecy. That's talking about the people being enslaved for 400 years, right? But when we're talking about history, he went up from Egypt and went into the Caucasus Mountains and civilized the caveman. Y'all with me? This is a black man who did this. Nimrod, who came and broke his law. If we look at the Christmas tree, we see the mistletoe, right? Which is a symbol of pagan fertility ritual. When you're up on the mistletoe, what you supposed to do? Kiss. Look, she say kiss. Right. See, we know the pagan rituals. We've been taught well. Right? The angel is what derived from the Greek god, Assyrian gods, right? The tree decoration, the lights, and the baubles are a Roman Saturnalia tradition. The gifts up under the tree is a Babylonian tradition, right? The Yule log symbolizes what? Mithras, god of the sun. Just think about these things. Every time we go out, we was going to get the best tree on the block. Babies wake up and all the gifts are up under the tree, right? The angel is on top. The mistletoe is there. All these different things that they got us celebrating under their leadership. Because God said that he would come and give us a substance after 400 years, right? And part of this, what we talking about this Christmas, is part of the teaching that they gave us. And so God has to come and bust this up during the judgment so we can see straight. You understand? I know some of y'all may be like, well, man, it's just for the babies. It's just for this and all that. The babies will be cool if you teach them right. You just got to teach them right. If you just want to buy them some toys, buy them some toys on another day. Because if you really follow the prices, do they really drop down that much? No, for real. They just put a new sticker up there, right? And say it's a sale. But if you look at it and go back and see, it was the same price it was in March. It's just been sitting on the shelf a little bit longer. That's how they do, right? But in our Bible that they gave us, in Jeremiah 10, it says, thus saith the Lord, learn not the ways of the heathen. What is a heathen? Someone who is godless, all right? And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work in the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, then fasten it with nails and with hammer, that it move not. This is the way of the heathens, the people who don't believe in God, right? Now, let me flip this up on you. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that anytime you look at a black man or a black woman, you're looking at what? God. So if those who have knowledge of who God is, and that the black people represent God as a whole, and we are the most disrespected people on the planet, then who have we been following all this time? Heathens. Heathens. And they hid the knowledge of God from us. And then they whipped us and made us call them master. You see how they did it? So this is reverse psychology. Is that right? Just something to think about. Y'all ain't mad at me, are you? It's just something to think about because we're going to bring it all in before we leave today. This thing that we call Christmas, just to enlighten us on what's going on around us. Because they're going to be fighting over toys if they ain't got all their toys. First of the year sale going to come on. Black Friday done already passed. People are killing for this white man's merchandise. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on to say, here comes us, the American black people, who were kept blind, deaf, and dumb to the reading of the Bible for 300 years, arguing and disputing on the birth of Jesus, saying that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. Whatever he has learned from his master, he is willing to die on it. Oh yeah, that's right. While he does not even know the truth of himself, they take the Bible as it reads. They know not its meaning at all. What does he mean they take the Bible on face value? And whatever the European interpreted for us. Now y'all know when we started churches, he was still, when he started the church, not us. When he started the church, he was sitting there in the pulpit making sure that we preach a certain doctrine, right? And if you say the wrong thing, that whip will come out. Wha-pow! That ain't what I told you to teach. Look, it's funny today, but it wasn't funny back then. Just something to think about, right? So if he would be that meticulous and he would be that consumed in making sure that his slaves were taught a certain doctrine so he can get the best out of his slaves, what makes you think things have changed today? The only thing different is that now his mind is in us. His mind is not only in us, his mind is in the Asian. His mind is in the Africans that come up. His mind is in the Latinos that come up. His mind is in everything and everybody who thinks that Western philosophy is better than Eastern philosophy. Is that right? Right. So all of his holidays are our holidays. Right? Everybody that he kills in the East is our enemy, even though they look like us. Look how he got us going, right? The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on and says, and they will scorn the meaning of it by one of them whose meanings have been taught to him by God Almighty, talking about himself, right? That the scripture may be fulfilled, that he would send a teacher or a preacher to us, the lost and found people, and raise him up from among us. Abraham and his son Ishmael, according to the Quran, prayed to Allah that he might raise up an apostle from among the lost, found, mentally dead people and teach him the knowledge of the book and the wisdom. And he may teach others of his people the meanings of what they read out of the Bible and Holy Quran. And that person that was raised up was who? The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's why we bear witness to God's coming in the beginning of our lecture. Right? Because there's a certain knowledge and understanding that we have been taught for a reason and for a purpose. All right? First of all, the most difficult task is to teach a Negro that God can be a man. Because the slave master has whipped it in us for so long that he can't be a man. And it not only is he can't be a man, he sure can't be a black man. It can't be. These niggas is lying. That's how we think, right? Because he's not only taught us this way, he has bred this black inferiority into our DNA to where we don't trust one another when we should trust one another because we all we got, right? But we so sneaky and conniving with each other. We always trying to be slick and get over on one another that it makes that task difficult. Even when you want to trust your brother. But this all started with slavery. This all started with slavery. So we got to go to the root of it, right? Look at what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying. He said, what does this do to the rest of the people? Talking about when a man has been raised up from among us, right? To teach us and guide us right? Where everybody else's prophets and messengers look like them. Go search the globe. They all look like the people, right? Because you can't send somebody that's different looking to us. But he gonna send a white boy to us. And we gonna take it hook, line, and sinker. Think about that. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, what does this do to the rest of the people? It causes them to become jealous and envious of that one whom God conferred more of his divine knowledge unto than he does the rest. No one has stood up in America like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and said that I come from the face of God. That he spoke with God face to face like Moses spoke to God face to face. No one has said that since he stood up. All praises are due to Allah. No one has said that. And not only that, the whole government, they were all in there. He's doing news briefings and everything else, saying the same teaching, and no one was able to defeat the teachings that was brought. Do y'all understand? So in our community, it calls what? Jealousy, envy. Because one of our brothers done stood up and said the white man is the devil. So it kind of like triggered us to go get him. Because we got to defend the master at all costs. Because we've been calling him master. And in our subconscious of our mind, he is the master. Why is he the master? Because he can provide shelter for us. He brings food for us. He has a grocery store for us. He clothes us. That's why he's the master, right? But where is he getting the materials from? He getting it from our kinfolk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the missing link.
Yeah, that's real.
Where is he getting the cotton from? Who picked the cotton?
We did.
We picked it, right?
Yes,
Then he came up with the cotton gin.
right.
But who created right? We made that too, right? Because we gonna figure out how to make the work easy. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
Y'all having a Merry Christmas, I hope. We worshiping the Christ in a mass group of people. That's all we talking about. You understand? So jealousy and envy comes up among us when one of us has more knowledge than the other. That's something that you got to deal with personally. You got to take it to the God and ask him to remove that from you. You understand? Because you want to be able to trust your brother, right? So since the Nation of Islam had been formed, our integrity is impeccable. You understand? Elijah didn't tell us no lies. No lies. The government figures out a way for the nation to go down, and then who comes back with it? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, whose integrity is impeccable. He hasn't lied to us. You understand? He hadn't changed the teaching whatsoever. You understand? Actually, he has helped and advanced us by even writing it down so we can pick it up and read it nowadays. You understand? And so, by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan having the courage to even do that, to resurrect the Nation of Islam, and not only resurrect the Nation of Islam, but then he opens up the classes, right? The FOI and MGT. Get the FOI rolling again. We in suits and bow ties again, right? Our sisters are back in headpieces and garments again, right? Our modest behavior is starting to be an influence in our community, right? Is that right? This is all he has done. And the governments of the world are envious and they hate him for that. Why? Because the ignorant consumers are the key to it all. Does that make sense? Y'all hear me? All right. The masses of the people are who they want to control with this information war that goes in and out of our ears. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, this is what is happening right at this hour. Talking about the envy and jealous. And those being jealous because he's standing up, telling the truth, about who they call master. The Holy Quran plainly teaches us that every one of us wanted the same thing that he gave the messenger. That is the knowledge of the book and the wisdom of God in the Quran. It is prophesied that the lost found black man would envy the knowledge that God would bestow upon his servant, to teach them the knowledge of that which before they knew not. This is the American so-called Negro. The Bible teaches that they all wanted to be shepherds, therefore the sheep went astray. That sounds like us, don't it? We can't follow nobody unless we lead something. We don't even got the directions to lead anywhere. But we got a problem with following you. Just because. We ain't even got to have a reason. That's the so-called American Negro. That's how they made us. We don't even have to have a reason, bro. That's sad. That's sad. We all want to be shepherds, but we all want to be chiefs and no Indians, right? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, what a jealous and envious people the black people are. This is why we can be divided so easily among each other. It is because the devils soon see that none wants to follow the other. Willie Lynch syndrome, right? Amplifying our differences. Oh, I got good hair. Now you got bad hair. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Who decides what's good and what's bad? Think about that. The God is supposed to come back with hair like what? Lamb's wool. So if your hair is nappy and kinky, you gonna say it's bad hair? Because it actually looks like what the Bible described as lamb's wool? Just think about that. Because we only do this in ignorance, family. That's the only reason that we do these things. It's out of ignorance. It's not because we know. Out of ignorance. So we do it just because. All right? The slave master said, okay, those who look like me, a lighter, guy, his hair looks a little bit closer to mine, we're going to bring them a little bit closer to us, right? He divides up the household between the male and female, right? Just the same way he was doing on the plantation. Same way, right? So our sisters today, they got all the education, they making all the money. So it drives us into a sunken state because we can't do nothing for it. For real. You got men that won't even approach you for fear because you're smarter than them. No, for real. This is all slave teaching. It's not really about the male and female. It's about things that you can provide. Why she just can't respect you because you're a man? And why you just can't respect her because she's a woman? Why it just can't just be just that type of balance, right? Because if you know how the enemy has set this up to pit us against one another. So when two people come together that know that it shouldn't matter how much money she made. You understand? All we need is room and board and food to eat. You understand? Good management. As you say, sister, good management. Good management. She can respect good management. That part. Yeah. It's when that old slinking devil starts getting in your mind. And then you want to become the slave master to her. That's where the problems start. You understand? Because she only going to bow down to God. That's it. And if she don't see God in you, then you're going to have a problem. It ain't going to be heaven. We're going to be living in hell. Off tops. You ain't gonna even be able to go to work without thinking about what's going on at the house. Y'all know how it is when it get that stressful, right? You done messed up the house, you can't even go to work. You can't even think right. They be like, man, what's wrong with you, my bro? Nothing, man. I'm cool. I'm good. It's all good. You thinking about that woman. Who the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said is our heaven. Is that right? Paradise is messed up, man. Paradise is messed up, but who messed it up? I did. You understand? Because we're not giving a good example. Or we're not getting the teaching. Or we too proud to even go to another man and be like, man, can you tell me how to do this? I didn't understand this. I was raised in a single parenthood. I may not come to you with that, but I may go to another man like that. You understand? If I can swallow my pride because I want to learn how to better myself. And then the sister will start to see the benefit in that. Like, I don't know what's going on with you, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You understand? It don't matter, man. I mean, we got good men all in our community. You just got to tap in, bro. You really do. It don't matter what religion they say they are. It don't matter what philosophy they say they are. We really got some good men in our community. For real. If you tap in. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. All right. All right, let's get back to this thing that we own today. This Christmas theme. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said in the theology of time, he said the Christ on the front end of the word Christianity means crusher. You are in a religion, or probably have been believing in a religion, which is not yours. It means that the crusher is coming at the end of their time to crush the people who believe in that kind of religion. Christ definitely means a crusher. So today we have a lot of work to do. So we talk about how this thing came about called Christianity, right? We talked about that in this lecture. About how it all got started. Let me catch up for those who are just walking in. How it all got started in 325 AD, right? How they all got together and the pagans formed this Christmas holiday so they can continuously worship down to the winter solstice of their pagan gods, right? We talked about who is God today, right? Y'all with me? Am I on the wrong? Y'all following me? Okay. So when the Christ or the crusher comes, or the anointed one comes to crush the wicked, that means he got to crush all his ideologies. Everything that he has taught the people. And the people are going to fight against it. Moses had a hard time with the children of Israel when he got them across. They was bucking, just like we be bucking. The scripture said that we are what? Stiff-necked, hard-headed, and rebellious type people. That's us. Is that right? And it's only due to ignorance. That's it. We're not just doing this just because. Sometimes we think we are. You're just doing it just because, bro. You know, you can't even prove me wrong. You're just doing it you just want to be anti. Right. That's how we think. But this one figure that comes, he's supposed to set it all straight, right? Line it all up. So who was saying the white man was the devil? He said that he didn't say he was he said he is the devil that's talked about in the Bible. Who said that before the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? You may have thought it. Because the way that they was treating us. But you ain't never say it. Right? I don't even think he was teaching it until he had an intervention with a higher being. Is that right? He wasn't teaching this. It was an intervention that happened. Right? And so Master Farad Muhammad taught him for 3.5 years on all of this. Because he has to crush the wicked first in the mind. Because this thing of resurrection is not a physical resurrection, it's a mental resurrection. We got to become smarter. So he stood up, and that's just one thing that he said, and that was just a shock to all black people in the community. The white man is the devil. He is the devil in your Bible. We are the gods. The black man is God. Oh, that shook it all up. That shook it all up right there. Everybody was mad at the Nation of Islam since the beginning. You understand? But this is a Christ figure coming to crush the wicked. What makes them wicked? They leading us in the wrong direction. Is that right? They set up classisms. They set up capitalism. Look at the systems that they set up. All of these things so they can prey on the ignorant. Right? And now we got, I can buy a yacht, or I can buy 4 or 5 buses. But we got people starving all over the planet. No concern for the poor. Right? So the book talks about Jesus. It said the poor heard him gladly. He's talking about a new kingdom that's coming in. Oh, this upset the rulers. But the same rulers are the ones that saying that they celebrating Jesus today. Oh man, this is some mind control to a whole nother level. When you're talking about population control, they tell you who Jesus is, and then they tell you something opposite at the same time. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad goes all over the country teaching this theology that he learned. But Master Farad Muhammad, right? To crush the wicked, because he got to get to our people. They put him in prison for teaching this theology because they needed bodies for a war to go overseas and fight your cousins and uncles again. You understand? And since they bred us to be the strongest and they bred us to take instruction and not ask questions. Very submissive to them, right? But not submissive to our own people, who we should be submissive to, right? Because collectively we make up God, right? And when we say God, we talking about a force and a power. We're not talking about some spook out there that you can't never see. Because the person who taught you that philosophy was alive.
Come on now.
Just marinate on that a little bit.
Come on now.
The person who taught you that philosophy was alive. So how do they know? Y'all can't even answer that question. That's how absurd it is to even think that way. Because no one has come from out of the casket. Well, I seen it on YouTube the other day. I beg to differ. I seen it on YouTube. The Christian African was bringing somebody back alive who was dead for 2 days. I had to post that one. Did y'all see it? You saw it? Wait. I may post it in our chat. It's some madness, but it's funny. But he supposedly and brought it all into the tribe and brought the man back to life. He come up out the casket, fully clothed, and start walking among the people, and they on the and got the people believing it. Oh, hey, I'm telling you, it was the best show on earth. For real. Because if it could really happen like that, there would be no medical schools. I mean, we gotta use common sense. You understand what I'm saying? There wouldn't be no need for no medical school. We all would be sitting in front of them learning. Because if you can bring somebody back to life, then you can make this organ regenerate. And I believe what I read or heard on the news the other day, they found some fruit that'll kill the cancer cells. And say it again, sis? Yeah, that's what they call it. But it was something else though. It was a new plant that they're doing tests on, that once the rat ate it, that it started curing the cancer within 30 minutes. Started eliminating the process of the cells eating the cells. That's all cancer is. Like we are. We are cancer to each other. We are cells eating cells. Until somebody puts in something sweet that's going to level us out. You understand? So it'll probably be a while before we get it, because they got to figure out a way to commercialize on it. Right? And charge me and you $1 million to get it. You understand? With 50% interest. For real. But where you think they found it at? In our homeland. You understand? And it ain't just, it's the whole East that we over. The Middle East, all of that. We are the aboriginal people of the planet. Right? So this Christ figure that shows up to destroy the wicked has to straighten out all this madness. Has to be bold. Doesn't care about being ridiculed or what people think about each other or think about him. His job is just to deliver the word. Is that right? Now, if the word becomes flesh after it hits your ears, that's on you. But he can't be charged with not delivering the word without doing his part in this thing that we call the destruction of the last superpower, or the judgment in which we live in. Y'all understand? Okay. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on, and he says to call it Christ Mass or Christmas, a mass of people meeting to worship the oneness of Allah, the divine messenger, and the last one to the Jews, is wrong, because Christ was not born on that day 2,000 years ago. Christ was born in 1877. Ooh, that's a good one. Christ, according to the definition of its name and teachings, I have been taught by God, means a man coming in the last days to crush the wicked. Now, this Christ who he's talking about is Master Farad Muhammad. All right, let's just make it plain. He was born in 1877, February 26, 1877, right? It's the whole reason why we have Savior's Day. A Savior came for us to raise up Saviors so we can save our whole community. That's the nation in a nutshell, right? We're supposed to be saving our community, putting them on a pathway of success, unlimited success. Putting us on a pathway of unlimited success, right? Right. But it starts with this Christ figure who snuck into the United States and found Elijah, who the book said would lead us back into the face of God. Is that right? In the book of Malachi, it talks about Elijah would come. That's the whole reason why the chair is set out in the ritual that the Jewish people do, right? They're waiting on Elijah, right? Right? When Jesus showed up, they said, who are you? Are you Elijah? Are you this? Are you that? Is that what they said? When Jesus was on the cross praying, who did he pray to? Elijah. They said, who is he praying to? Elijah? Elijah all in the book, right? Elijah go up in a whirlwind. Is that right? There's a lot going on with Elijah. Right. Is that right? But it's something that we got to think about, something that we got to get into, something that we got to study and not just blow it off because it could be something in it for us. Is that right? So what did he teach? He said, God is a man. Ooh, that shook it up. Who is the original man? The Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. That's heavy. Who's the God of the earth right now? The white man. And be plain and simple, the Europeans, right? Right. But since the coming of Master Farad, this process of reversing has already taken place. And we've been over here for 90 years now, right? I'm talking about the Nation of Islam, not us. We was over here before they even brought us over here. But again, that's a whole nother lecture for a whole nother time. All right, we have been navigated the globe and they know, you understand? You go down to Mexico and you see the Olmec heads, that's us. You go to the Grand Canyon and see signs, that's us. You go to Oklahoma and see signs, that's us. You go some places in Texas and you see signs, that's us. We all over this thing, right? So who are we? The God of the universe. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, teaches this. He says, Jesus describes himself in many ways. He said, I am the true vine and my Father is the husbandman. What is it to be a true vine? To be connected to the Father. And if you connect it to the Father, then the vine is going to produce fruit. Is that right? Then the fruit are going to have seeds that's going to grow another vine. That's how it should go. Is that right? And then those seeds are going to produce another true vine and a fruit. But Jesus said, I am the true vine. My Father is the husband. I am the bread of life. What is bread? What does bread do for your blood? I think bread is high in iron. Is that right? What does iron do for your blood? Bread has thyme in it. Bread has a lot of things in it, right? But what is the blood? As the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, the blood is the life of the human being. Is that right? I am the light of the world. What is the light of the world? It's the sun in the sky, but not in this context. It's the truth, the purity of the truth that you're hearing, right? Because the world has become dark by the prince of darkness. And everyone, including us, have been following this wicked generation of people for over 6,000 years. He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the good shepherd. So that means we got some bad shepherds, right? That are mixing truth with falsehood in order to become a leader. We have a lot of self-appointed leaders in our community who mix truth with falsehood because they clout chasing. They want to be somebody. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says the good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. A man like that is a man who the whole world needs. Because a man like that does what? He stands on the truth. And not only that, can you prove it wrong? And a man like that is open-minded to your scholarship to see if you can prove it wrong. Is that right? Humble enough to be like, okay, I may have been wrong at that part. But if he's a man from God and he's from the true vine, he already knows it's the truth. Is that right? He already knows you can't prove it wrong. It's just like God did with Abraham. When he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he said, oh, it's got to be some good people over there. So God put him on a test. He said, well, go find some. If you can find 50, if you can find 40, if you can find 30, 20, 10, if you can find one, I'll save them all. So God was patient with his friend, so he can get into the same mind that he was in. Like, I'm trying to tell you, but you know what? You can give him some time then. Go find one. So after he did his case study, he came back and he said, what? Handle your business. I'm a believer now. Ain't none of them good. Now, God didn't act like a Negro and said, I told you. He just said, Alhamdulillah, let's get it cracking. What I wanted to do in the first place, right? But sometimes we got to be like that with our brothers and sisters, though. See, we got to take on the mind of God. That's the whole point of studying this. So we can have patience with each other. Because that's a skill. That's not something that we're born with. That's something that we acquire as we grow in life, as we mature in life, is to have patience with one another so we can grow up to be that which we are supposed to be. And especially now, during the judgment, we really couldn't be judgmental on each other because we've been made into the opposite of that. We are righteous by nature, teaches the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but we are what? Wicked by circumstances. So we just taking on some different habits, some different customs that really aren't our customs, right? So he says a man like that can raise us up out of the condition that we are in and raise us up again to become beings that reflect God. The human being is only a stage of development. That's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, right? And that's true. A stage of development. You come into the world out the womb. You learn how to speak the native language. You think God is your mom at first. That's the only person you know to connect with, right? Mama God. Mama God. She's the only one that can interpret your language. Stages of development, right? You grow up. You start following other people, then you come back and you challenge your parents. Stages of development, right? You start taking on other doctrines. You start listening to other people. And so you kind of put that away for a little bit, what you've been taught in the right way. Because now you got to go on this journey for yourself. This thing that we are on, this human development that we are on to learn how to reflect God takes time. And everybody is not on the same time limit. We all grow in different stages at different times. What I may have mastered, you may not have mastered. What you have mastered, I may have not mastered. That makes sense? But when we see each other, we can see the beauty of each other because we're only looking at the best in each other. Supposed to anyway. Right? That's how we become friends. Right? Settling on the best part only, right? This stage of development that we own is that when we see our child growing on the right way, then we got to have patience with them and pray that they come back to the right path, right? Because again, they are right. This is their life. And they are right. They will have to make the right decisions, right? But they can't never say that you didn't tell them. And that's only your part. It may hurt. Y'all follow me? When you see them going on the wrong path, it may hurt. But you got to be smart and intelligent to know that this is just a stage of their development. If you know yourself, because like I said last week, you looking at yourself in the future. You understand? So what advice are you going to tell yourself? Because it may not be what you saying. Sometimes it's just how you saying it. Right? So a good strategy is to have a good group of friends that they respect. That'll say the same thing in a different way. And they'll come and tell you that so-and-so, I learned this from so-and-so the other day. And you can't be a Negro and just be like, I've been trying to tell you this the whole time. What you talking about? You can't, then you're going to mess it all. You're going to mess the process all up now. Because remember, you talking to yourself. All right? Stages of development. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says you have to grow from the level of an animal to be a human, which means that you have mentally evolved to be able to put the humans or the earth under the power of a resurrected mind. I'm gonna read that again. You have to grow from the level of an animal to be a human. In our community, we got a lot of animals running around. It's a lot of people living a beast life. Quick to kill each other. This is the jungle, man. There ain't no talking. Oh man, he did this and it's just a trigger. Boom. We ain't worried about no time. I tell you, I sit down on that. That's the wrong way to think. Because then you find out later on while you sitting in that box. Like, damn, I was stupid, man. Why I wasn't thinking? And that ain't the time you really want to learn it. You have to grow from the level of an animal to be a human. Now again, our community is set up like that because a lot of the fathers have been locked up, right? We're talking about from the 60s now on up. COINTELPRO. They've been on the brothers. By anything, any little thing, we gonna get some time. Any little thing, right? And then we go in there and they teach us that Jesus is Lord. That's what they do to make us more subservient, right? But then some of us find Islam in jail. We find Islam. And Islam is so direct. It hits you right to the core when you learn how to read that Quran. That it changes you. Because that's what this is all about. Self-development. The time and what must be done. Self-development. How do you know you become a human? You develop patience. In the Holy Quran, the devil is made from fire, right? And Adam is made from dust. The devil is asking God these questions. Why you make him this way when I can do it like this? Jealousy, envy, separatism. And God's sitting around listening to all this. This is our community. This is us. Well, I can do it better than him. Then do it. If you that confident, then do it. Why'd you choose him and not me? What is it you don't like about yourself? So you got to take this to the God. Because that's part of slavery too, low self-esteem. We have a lot of mental work to do in our community. It's all mental work. We have a lot of mental work that we have to do in our community. And it ain't just going to school, becoming a psychiatrist. Because we got a lot of them and they still ain't solved our problem. They ain't even had the will to come back and try to solve our problem. Matter of fact, they done built bigger case studies on us. It's just something to think about. Because we have to grow from the level of an animal to be a human. And then after we become a human, then we can become a God. First, we got to become a human. Do you want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself? This is human. This ain't got nothing to do with no religion or nothing like that. When someone comes with you in confidence about something personal in their life, do you hold it tight or do you spread gossip? You understand? When you know somebody dropped something at the store, do you say, oh man, it's a blessing, or you try to pick it up and go give it to them? Because in some cultures, wherever it's dropped down, it's going to be there until they come back and get it. But we not like that no more. We used to be like that. That's the beauty if we study these other cultures. If we are the original people, whatever their custom is that is of good, that's what we taught them. It's only in this dispensation of time that we done lost all our knowledge and our customs. So this Christmas, when you sitting around with your family, it's gonna be on a Wednesday night, right? It's gonna be on a Wednesday night. When you sitting around with your family, make it a Merry Christmas. Teach them about the Christ, what we talked about today. Teach them about the beauty of the truth. Teach them about Jesus and how he fought against the wicked. If Jesus is gonna be the topic. Show and tell, show and prove, right? Because a lot of them don't think that we believe in Jesus anyway. Is that right? When you go through the Twitter pages and they ask the minister the questions about do you believe in Christianity and all that and then Jesus, and the answer he gave was the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we are better Christians than the Christian. You marinate on that one. See, we have a restrictive law that'll keep us in check. Also, that's letting you know that we just don't want no foolishness around here. All right, you can get some time for some foolishness. You understand? And the time is not to hurt you. The time is to help you. Because you got to get your mind together. Because we resurrecting the mind. And if you still got cavey ways that we can't adjust and help you with them, then you got to go over here in this corner. That makes sense? It only makes sense. Ain't that how you run your household with your children? You got rules and regulations. They just can't do anything. All right? So on this Christmas, when you sitting around your massive group of people talking about the Christ, talk about the beauty of it. It would be beautiful for them to know who they are. Talk about the history of it. Talk about how a good man Jesus is and was and is to be. You understand? I'll end on this. I came home one day and my baby was asking me about Jesus. For some odd reason, she had found not the Passion of the Christ, but the color of the one where they did with Jesus is Color of the Cross. I think that's the name of the movie, The Color of the Cross, where Jesus is a black man. Is that it, Color of the Cross? The Color of the Cross, right? And they start out in the scenes where he's being ran out of the synagogue. for teaching the truth. And so it just came out of the blue. She never asked me about this before. She's 6 years old. It just came out of the blue. And so I sat down and had a conversation with her. And she wanted to know about Jesus and God and all. See, I ain't never forced this on them. It was never forced on me. I just found it on my journey. And so that's kind of how I deal with them. You know, they see what I do. They know what I do. They know I go to the mosque. They know this and all. They know that we don't celebrate certain holidays. They know all of these things, right? But I never really forced nothing on them. Like, you gotta believe what you going. It ain't no gloom and doom over at my house. You know what I'm saying? But it's beautiful when they get it. When you see signs of them, like, okay, she gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, we pray, but now she wants to pray. You understand what I'm saying? If it gets late and I be like, I'm just gonna put you to bed. No, we gotta say our prayers, Daddy. Alhamdulillah. And then she got the little one in check. Little one sitting there doing dua. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we just have to be a good example and let the chips fall where they may. And just be a good parent. So that's my Christmas gift to y'all this year. Just be a good parent. And don't really, I say this with children because I got a lot of babies. So they all got their own personality. So I say this because I know we all deal with these situations that got children or have dealt with them that have more than 3 children. I wish I had 3. You know, when you get, I got 6. So when you get to 4, and you see people struggling with 1, you be like, sis, you got it good. Bro, you got it good. Bro, it don't stop where I'm at. It don't stop. I don't think you understand what that looks like. It don't stop. But just know that they watching. Because that was my Christmas gift to me. Is the things that my 6-year-old did. And I see how they all feeling out. Like my first 2, we would pray religiously. Because I was a zealot in Islam at that time when I had them. We would pray religiously. And there's some rebellion, kickback now that they're older. But they do know their prayers and they know it in Arabic. Whether you believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? They can tell you I know what that means. Word for word. They know it. But I don't force it on them. Right? Then my oldest one day, after we going through our trials and tribulations, she said, Daddy, I'm going to come to the mosque. I said, okay, let's roll. So inshallah, she'll be here. Inshallah. But again, I don't have to force it on them. I don't have to force it on them. You don't want to eat this, you want to eat processed food, you sick all the time, boo, 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 and I'm telling you this and I'm telling you that, you be a devil. Cool, I got you. But one day you're going to have to submit. And it ain't going to be on my will, it's going to be on your own will. And when they come like that, then you're going to have a soldier. Because they really actually believe in it. Because when we say there's no compulsion in Islam, it's really no compulsion in Islam. You dump into them as much as you can dump into them when they little, when they just all on you and you guide them and they just daddy this, daddy that. But then when they get to a certain age and they want a buck, just sit back and watch. You understand? You may have a good counselor that they can talk to and you always gonna try to help them. I mean, that's just your baby, right? But don't worry about it. Just put it on the go and watch how it boomerang. You may get surprised one day. You may get surprised one day. And don't compare your babies to somebody else's babies in the mosque. You would be doing yourself a disservice. Because we are all different. Again, you got to know yourself. This is all about self-knowledge in the nation, right? You got to know yourself. If you know yourself, you're going to know your offspring. Right? If you don't know something about your offspring, you may not know something about your partner that they're not revealing to you just for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? But that baby's a combination of both of y'all. So just sit back, watch, and learn. Merry Christmas. So I thank you for listening. I pray that we learned something today. I don't want to keep you too long. All praise is due to Allah. Pray that we learned something today. So I'm going to leave you as I left you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Got a couple questions that I need to ask. How many of you here for your first time? Please raise your hand. Let's see you. All praises be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Thank y'all for joining us today. I have a few more questions. How many of you believe what you heard is true and good for our people? Please raise your hand.